Long Fallen Dynasty was one of the hottest games at EGX 2022, with constant lines and people repeatedly going back for more, and it's easy to see why. We at Eurogamer loved the game when we played it for preview, saying that, like both Nioh games before it, Long feels like a more than worthwhile twist on the ever-popular action RPG template. In typical Team Ninja fashion, Long combines historical facts and settings with supernatural and dark fantasy fiction. Players will assume the role of the unnamed protagonist in this retelling of historical stories, carving out a route through war-torn battlefields while avoiding demon hordes and a variety of other wicked monsters that infest the Three Kingdoms. It's not long now until the game's release on March the 3rd, so we thought it was about time that we rounded up absolutely everything that we know about the game. So sit back and relax as I tell you all you need to know about Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo's mystical Souls-like. Long Fallen Dynasty takes place in China in 184 AD and will focus on the years of the Yellow Turban Rebellion, leading to the fall of the Han Dynasty, which kickstarts the Three Kingdoms era. These events take place as a growing demonic infestation is ravaging the country, which thrusts the nameless protagonist into action as they attempt to suppress the revolters. In the middle of all the chaos, the protagonist meets a young man by chance, an encounter that engulfs them into swirling intrigue. Ooh, swirly intrigue. Through the game, the protagonist will meet characters from the Three Kingdoms saga. If you played any of the Dynasty Warrior games or read Romance of the Three Kingdoms, you'll probably recognise some of these important characters, though so far only Zhao Yun, Zhang Liang and Lu Bu are confirmed. Like Nioh before it, Long will not have a big connected world like Dark Souls or Bloodborne. Instead, it will have an overworld map made up of different stages. Now, apologies for my pronunciation before I go any further, but we've only seen 3 of these world stages so far. Guangogo Valley, a once beautiful region that has been desolated and turned into a den for rebels. The Huloguan Pass, an important checkpoint area that protects a critical passage but that now resembles a gruesome battlefield. And Luyong, a major city that is the capital of Han. Character development in Long is based around the 5 phases, or Wu Jing from Chinese philosophy, these being fire, water, wood, metal and earth. This is a concept that has been used to explain a wide array of phenomena, from cosmic cycles to the interaction between internal organs. In Long, though, they replace the traditional strength, intelligence, dexterity and constitution stat system that we're used to in other Souls-likes. When you begin the game, you'll choose a class based on one of the phases, which will impact your starting equipment, divine beast and stats. Players will accumulate genuine ki, which totally aren't souls, by defeating opponents. Genuine ki can then be invested for points in any of the 5 phases. Gaining points in the 5 phases will also increase your attack, physical and elemental defense, spirit consumption and luck. I tell you what, I'm always in luck when I consume spirits. Oh, that's a funny joke, me. Ha ha ha. Every point invested raises your character's level, with levels requiring more and more genuine ki the higher they are. Leveling up can be done at battle flags, which are essentially the game's bonfires, acting as checkpoints and resurrecting you if you die in battle. In Long, if you die, you lose your morale points and half of your genuine ki. The enemy's morale rank will also go up, making them harder to kill after you die and respawn. You can get back the genuine ki and morale points you lost by killing the enemy who killed you. This is called revenge, and I hear it's a dish best served cold. Yum yum yum. If the enemy is a boss, simply challenging them again is enough to get back your genuine ki and morale points. If you die before getting back the genuine ki and morale points you lost the last time you died, though, they will be gone for good. So maybe try not to do that. Players have 2 main attacks, basic attacks and spirit attacks. Basic attacks are simple and fast, and landing them will raise the player's spirit gauge. Spirit attacks are slower, heavier moves that deal more damage and reduce an enemy's spirit gauge. What's a spirit gauge, you ask? It's essentially a stamina bar, though it can be a positive or a negative. A positive spirit gauge will boost your attacks, but once it's fully drained, you become stunned. In total, there are 16 different weapon types in Wo Long, 13 melee-based and 3 range-based. Each type has numerous varieties, and within that there are different rarities, meaning there are hundreds of weapons available to the player. So far we've seen swords, dual swords, glaives, poleaxes, straight sabres, staffs and bows. So there's still more to be discovered before the game's release. And each weapon has a martial art available, a powerful attack that uses up spirit. During combat, players can guard with their weapon, or dodge enemy attacks to avoid damage, both of which use up the spirit gauge, putting you at risk of being staggered by an enemy's attack. You can also deflect enemy attacks by dodging just before an attack lands, which increases the spirit gauge and opens enemies up to powerful counterattacks. Enemies will sometimes perform unblockable fatal strikes. Deflecting these will completely drain their spirit gauge, staggering them and opening them up for you to perform your own fatal strike. Think a parry or backstab from Dark Souls, and these deal huge amounts of damage. Again, similarly to Dark Souls, you can perform fatal strikes on unaware enemies, meaning that stealth is a valid and very valuable asset on certain missions. The divine beasts are powerful, holy beings from Chinese mythology and folklore that the protagonist can call upon in combat. As you deal and suffer damage in battle, the divine beast gauge increases, and once it's full, you can summon a divine beast in one of 2 ways. The first is to summon the beast and use their abilities, which range from powerful area of effect attacks through to healing powers. The second is called Divine Beast Resonation, through which the protagonist and their allies are powered up with different effects, like increased attack damage, critical strike probability, or elemental damage on weapons. Throughout the game, the protagonist will meet a wide variety of divine beasts, and the beast that is currently in use can be changed at a battle flag. Players also have access to Wizardry Spells, mystical abilities that utilise the 5 phases to cast various effects, ranging from damaging single-target projectiles, destructive area of effect blasts, elemental weapon enchantments, through to healing and other buffs. These special moves also consume a set amount of spirit, meaning you can't rely on them alone, forcing you to pepper them throughout the melee combat. The morale system tracks your performance and acts as a modifier to both player and enemy power. Defeating enemies and landing certain attacks will increase your morale points, which in turn increase your morale rank. The higher your rank, the more damage you deal to enemies, and the less damage they deal to you. Unfortunately though, enemies also have their own morale rank, and the system works the same way for them. You can lose morale points by being hit by fatal strikes, and if you lose enough, your morale rank can also drop. However, this also works the other way, with the player gaining a high number of morale points by landing fatal strikes on enemies. When you die in combat, you lose all of your morale, and the enemy who dealt the killing blow raises their morale rank by 1. As you progress through a mission, you will come across battle flags, which serve as checkpoints. Each battle flag you find increases your fortitude, a stat that prevents your morale from dropping below your current fortitude rank, even if you die in battle. Some of the most powerful wizardry spells are only unlocked at higher morale ranks, so keeping your morale up is key if you want to be the most powerful warrior that you can be. Higher morale will also affect lower level spells, with effects like adding more projectiles, increasing the area of effect radius, or just increasing damage. Higher morale has a similar effect on Divine Beast attacks and abilities too. There are 2 main elements to Wo Long's multiplayer, the first of which are vengeance targets, enemies who have defeated other players in their worlds. They will typically have a high morale rank and be a very tough fight, but defeat them and you'll typically be rewarded with special loot. You'll know you're near a vengeance target if you come across a corpse with a banner displaying a player's online ID and cause of death. Then there is cooperative play, allowing you to invite other players into your world to fight alongside you. You do this by using a consumable item, the Tiger Seal, on a battle flag. You can also summon NPCs you've met throughout the story in this way, including the great heroes of the 3 kingdoms. During co-op, you can revive NPCs and other players when they fall in combat, as long as the assist gauge, which pops up at the start of the co-op session, is not fully empty. So that's everything we know about Long Fallen Dynasty. Have you spotted something that we've missed? Will you be picking up Long, or are you still roaming around the lands between in Elden Ring? Let us know in the comments below. As always, please do give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to Eurogamer for almost daily videos about video games, and of course, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye!